to Lincoln Elementary. This is our tier text project for the spring of 2021. It is called Give Me Some Space. I am Earl Brazick, and this is
Vanessa Zemba.
And this is
Kylie Engelhardt.
Yes. We're here to present our slideshow to you today. We're going to talk about working in space. It's a great second grade read. The text is by, it's a level P tier text. And this is where we're working towards being able to read this independently. So this is our tier text, Working in Space. All right. Vanessa would like to, Kylie would like to share some?
This is the target vocabulary that we are stressing for this text. These are very domain-specific words, and they're related to the topic of space. They're pretty unfamiliar to second grade students, so that's why we chose them. And they're key to understand the target text, and some of them are pretty morphologically advanced, like astronomy, and have multiple meanings, like space and force have multiple meanings.
Nice.
That's easy. There we go. I got it. All right. And then for our academic language, these words are extremely important. Informational text, text features, graphic features, caption, and then categorize and classify are also cross-curricular. So it's very important that the students learn these academic words for classifying and categorizing, especially because this is second grade. So this is the last year that students are learning to read. Next year they read to learn, and having this skill set helps them out tremendously. So this is a skill that we definitely need to start working on now, and definitely prior to now.
Right, Vanessa, because informational text is very important. It's one of those skills that we teach in second grade. Love it.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Okay, so this is our linguistic analysis.
Yes, the text feature of captions is the focus of this sentence level. They're very challenging for the students. They contain academic vocabulary, and they can have complex sentence structure. So their whole purpose is to comprehend and understand the story. So we'll be focusing on captions at the sentence level.
Oh. Sorry, I thought I could do this.
These are the standards that we have for our story. So we've done a good job of putting in our standards, Ohio standards. So if you click it on, you can kind of see all the Ohio standards supported by this lesson. And then if we go back, we can see all the English language learners proficiency standards supported by this lesson. So these are some things that we've learned throughout our process here in the TESOL program that we've added to our lesson.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right, and this is our flow chart. So our flow chart, as we learned earlier in our
The lesson, or this program.
yes, this program. Thank you. This is our target text. So this is our target text, and we're working our way back to building background, doing some practice. So we start with our target text, and then as you can see, we're going to build up to our target text, but working our way back from the target text. So this is kind of a nice job by Kylie. All right, this is our Tier 1 building background. This is where Kylie will start talking about things that we're going to do in Tier 1 to help build that background.
Thank you. All right, so in Tier 1, it's all about building backgrounds. Our content objective is to classify and categorize science words. And the language objective is to say, read, and use the target vocabulary to discuss an oral language dialogue called Ask the Astronaut. In order to build background, we're going to start by introducing the students to the topic of space. These two videos both talk about what astronauts do in space when they work in space. This one is from SciShow Kids. And this one is called ESA Space for Kids, and it talks about living and working in the International Space Station.
That's fantastic.
After building background, Okay, oh, thanks.
Mhm.
The first strategy we will use to build, to understand what they know is a KWL chart. The students will work together. It's as a teacher-led activity to tell what they know and of course what they wonder about, what they want to know about this project. And we will build on this as the lesson continues and of course come to what I learned at the end. The next strategy is to introduce our target vocabulary. We have some fantastic context cards, vocabulary and context. With these, the students find out what the word is. There's a picture to go with each one. There's questions to go with them, and they can talk about these things with a partner. And then we will create a TPR gesture to help them remember what the words mean. Our next strategy is to classify and categorize the science words. So they need to be introduced to the academic vocabulary of classify and categorize. What does that mean? And then they're going to use this, can you turn the page? To sort these words to either space or space equipment. They're going to do this with a partner and they must justify their answers. The next text that we're going to use to practice the target vocabulary is called Ask the Astronaut. This is an oral language dialogue in which the students can either be a person or an astronaut. They will practice this with a partner, yeah, thank you. And then practice acting it out with their partners. When they're finished, they're gonna make this web to show what they know about space and astronauts and share with the class. The teacher will then add this information to the KWL chart. For differentiation, students that are below level can listen to the oral language dialogue and practice reading it in an echo read. Students that are above level are going to create their own oral language dialogue with a partner and then perform it for the class. For assessment, we will be using these three things. The first one is the space sort, the classification, justification that they give for why they put things where. This will be an informal assessment of their reading. And then finally, a correct completion of their space bubble map. All right, tier 2 is going to be Vanessa.
Vanessa, practice and
Great job.
preparation.
Thank you. So we have our practice and preparation, our contact objectives, interpret information from text and graphic features, and the language objective, say, read, and use target and academic vocabulary to analyze sections of working in space. Thank you. So text to be used at tier 2. You can click on this image, which will take you to a YouTube video of someone reading the text to the students. And then, there we go. Oops, can we go back one?
Yep.
Thank you. I am starting off this section of practice with strategies, background, and vocabulary and context. The vocabulary is to be reviewed. The students take turns reading aloud the short building background, life in space paragraph as a partner. Students will pair up and take turns reading to each other. Partners will pause and discuss the target vocabulary words as they are read. They're highlighted in yellow. The reader must discuss the prompt found at the end of the paragraph. And then they need to give their opinion and then support it with their reasons. And then only then will the partners switch roles and then repeat the process. So the partners will then be responsible for sharing their partner's opinion with the class. So they have to listen and then duplicate or repeat what they said. After that, we have an informal assessment that the students are going to read the question, and they have a vocabulary word bank to choose from, and they have to find the vocabulary word that has the same or almost the same meaning, so the multiple word meaning, or synonyms, but time that will come, and then that would obviously be future. I'm gonna go I'm using this as an informal assessment, but I also want to do this as a review with my students where we would talk about the strategies that they used to come up with the correct word. And I'd like to have them use a pencil to do the assignment, and then we correct in pen so they can correct their answers, but then also see what they chose that was incorrect to compare to the correct answer. And then we talk about any misconceptions and then teach the appropriate metacognitive strategies as necessary, just such as if you definitely know that this one does not belong in as number 1, or I for sure know that number 8 is going to be this answer, then I should do that one first, because then I'm only left with 7. So just to teach them some strategies of how to work their way through. We're looking at base words or prefixes and suffixes. Moving from there, building background, they're going to be introduced with a video from BrainPop, which talks about all the different text features and how they can be used and why they're helpful, so we don't have to watch the whole thing.
Oh, I love it.
My visuals for the kids, I took pictures of our text because it is no longer online. And I want to introduce to them the reason why this is important, because students just glaze over this and they don't realize that, wow, this is a really useful tool. To pique my students' interest, I like to tell them that you can totally be slacking off in class, and when your teacher's like, excuse me, what did we just read? That they can just glance real fast and look at the title or the heading and be like, well, we happen to be talking about. So I have them turn to, or I ask them to tell me what is the name of the story. And they look and they can't tell me because it's covered. So, oops, hello. I'm so sorry, it's not doing it right now. But at that point, I just move this away, and then they're like, oh, and I'm like, what page does it start on? And they can't find it. So we go through the slides of the story and discuss the section headings.
Yeah, just hit your exit there.
For each, and we talk about what that chapter or what that section is going to be about, and how do they know that. And so if I just called on you and I'm like, what were you paying attention? And they're like, we were reading about jobs in space. And so they like to have that tool. Then before I give them their next assignment, that's exciting. You lost that.
Yep.